It's 10:29 on a Thursday morning. It is the Crunch Manje. Lee K is normally on this show, but I'm sitting in his space today. And I'm actually excited I'm sitting in because I get to spend time on his show with young people, quite like this young man we have in the building. Did you know, in fact you do know because I've been telling you since I had a voice, since I've been on this show, that we were going to have none other than the founder and the president of A4KJ. Now, I don't even know I had to say that, but I feel like it's an important introduction. What on earth is A4KJ?
All right, so it's an acronym. It stands for All for King Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's and well, I think this is the first time ever I've been introduced like that.
Right.
The founder and the president of. It felt nice. It felt nice.
So I'm sure by now, if you are a fan of the founder and the president of A4KJ Worldwide, you already know that we're talking to the slick pastor who's in the building today on the Young People's Platform. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So I don't know if many people know this, that the slick pastor himself actually was a fan of radio.
Big time. I've always loved the connection. You know, just imagine, Kuti, I cannot see this person, but I can see them in my mind. You know, a lot of the people, thank God for the internet now, we get to see pictures on Facebook and stuff like that. Yeah. But a lot of us grew up just hearing voices and imagining what this person looks like. But the engagement and the connection was so real. You felt like you knew this particular person. If DJ so and so comes on air, you feel like he's your friend from the neighborhood. So I always wanted to connect, with people in that way. Yeah.
So when you were younger, I used to love James Maritinyu. And then I used to listen to SFM, but now I can't really remember whom I would listen to on that radio station. I know Comfort Bafana was on my boss now, was one of the voices I remembered. Now you mentioned Bubbling Bee as one of the voices that you used to love when you were younger. What was it about listening to her that made you fall in love with radio?
Well, firstly, her voice, just her voice. It was so captivating. And then also her content, because she was quite real. She was very real. Sometimes she would just narrate what could have happened, let's say that morning, to happen. And so then this got me thinking about A, B, C, and D, and there were so everyday things that you could connect to, that you could relate to. So just how real she was made me fall in love with her, fall in love with radio. There are also, some of the guys like Kudzi Marudza. I used to love Kudzi Marudza. His voice, his accent, his playlist, and all of that.
Yeah.
So I've such. So it's a big honor for me to be in the studio. It feels
on air yourself on the other side. So if we were to give you your radio name, what would it be?
My radio name, like a DJ.
Yeah.
Well, now it's hard for me to think of anything. I just want to DJ, but I think DJ Nijo.
You can't
think of anything else now.
And you can't get away with it. That's about me, Nijo.
See now,
You just know that it's you.
Yeah.
All right, so at some point I would like you to do like a radio link, like how you imagine yourself, what you would be saying. So I'll give you time to think about that. But welcome to Capital.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my sister Manjenje. I'm also
Samaita.
Yeah, I'm a temple.
I was not going to nobody. So you are, and I don't think you imagined this, around about 2016, that you would become such a sensation where suddenly your name has become a household name. I mean, Watsu sending your videos, your skits on WhatsApp. Did you imagine that this is what it would all cumulate to?
What I probably could not imagine would be the details of how the things would transpire. But I always had a belief that I was someone in life, that I could make a difference, that I could impact society in one way or form. And now I know for somebody who's watching the journey from outside, they might say you suddenly became, a household name, or you suddenly became. But to me, it's not sudden, because I've walked the journey from taking small steps, having a bit of impact here and there, getting platforms here and there, getting a bit of opportunities here and there, and over time I've managed to grow my brand. There are people who have followed me from day one, and they actually know that how progressive all of this has been. So I don't think I have ever been in a place where I imagined exactly everything that's happening, the people I would meet, the places I would go, but I always had a strong conviction that I would get an opportunity to share my gift with the world and to positively influence a lot of people around me in my generation and in my time. Yeah.
So you are one of the very few people that I know who firstly is very clear that they are Christian, that all they're doing is for Jesus, and then they're also in the public eye, and also still be able to show us that you know what, you are converted. There is no two ways about it. You don't get swallowed in the hype of being famous or being in the public eye. How easy has that been for you to maintain that?
Well, honestly, it has been it has been really easy, because I think it all goes back to how you understand what your faith is and how you understand what Christianity is or your relationship with God is. So, because I know that for a lot of people, Christianity or their faith is simply about belonging to a church. If you ask anyone, which church do you go to? Everybody has a church, right? Try to go deeper with them. What's your favorite scripture? Now, so in the beginning, God. So that begins to show you how much or what place faith has in their lives, or what role it plays. So to them, probably it's just to ease their conscience. I go to church, I belong to church, I'm a child of God. But to me, it has been a way of life, because I think probably because of the way I was raised. My mom was a very prayerful person, God rest her soul. So the way she raised me was to believe that it's either God or nothing. So that means every other thing that I've been able to achieve in life, for me, it's God who's giving me. So I do not see the point of God blessing me with an opportunity or a platform with 400,000 people, and then I don't talk about him. Because to me, I feel like he's my guy. He's been there from day one. So he's actually the one who's doing all of this. So that's my understanding. My understanding is that we are the light of the world. We are the salt of the earth. And we are supposed to influence. We're supposed to go out into the world and influence the world rather than be influenced by it. But the way to do it is not to focus on the world and say, oh no, I want to change, but it's just to focus on God. It's just to focus on Jesus. Like Jesus said, I'm already preaching.
It's coming.
Well, I cannot stop talking about this man. I love Jesus. So he said, if you follow me, I will make you fishers of men. So that means the making, whatever Jesus is going to make you, is all based on you following him. So I'm not really so caught up on trends, on what's trending. If you see most of my content, I don't try to create it around Chichuku. Sometimes I actually avoid hot topics, because I don't want to make my creativity cheap and be like, okay, I just hop on what. It's good to be relevant. I do it sometimes, but I don't make it a basis of my creation. I try to draw my inspiration from within. So that's how easy it's been. I think also just being connected to God keeps me grounded. It just reminds me that 1 million followers, 10 followers, we're all human beings, children of God. We're all serving a greater purpose than the fame or recognition or applause that we might get. So yeah, that's how it's been working for me.
It's Capital 100.4 FM. Harada's Happy. It's the Crunch, 10:38 on the Thursday. My name is Folake, the Nubian Queen, the International African. Jenjeli Nasi Atsikwa ne province kwake Tembo Varimuno, also known to you as, I'm gonna love saying this, the founder, the president of A4KJ Worldwide. But you will probably recognize him more as Bamni Nijo. You also recognize him as the Slick Pastor. He's joining us today on Young People's Platform. Essentially a show we create for young people to connect with other young people who are remarkable, that you may recognize, that are doing outstanding things. Now, the Slick Pastor is a well-known comedian. He certainly is a motivational preacher. I'm sure you can almost hear it in that 5 more minutes. And we love that about you. And I love how you sound so self-aware of yourself, about your creativity and what you love and what you don't love. I don't imagine, though, that you're always this sure of yourself and what your gift is. When, if you look back into your life, did you start to realize that you have a gift?
Okay. So I think, growing up as a young kid, you are firstly drawn to what you love, whether you're good at it or you're not. But what you just enjoy doing. It could be soccer, maybe but maybe that's what you just love. So growing up, I noticed that I really love doing anything that involves engaging with people, right? Getting a response from people, also getting to see reactions from people, getting to know what people think. So what I would do a lot of times is maybe after a musical show like an Ezongide or whatnot, I would also perform those songs for my family. So I was a performer, right? I always loved being in the limelight. Stage fright is something I've never had my entire life. That doesn't exist in my world.
We can tell.
So from there, what happens is then as you go on the path of trying out things, they start getting molded into actually the right thing. Like someone might grow up loving music and they think they're supposed to be a musician, and then maybe they're not doing so well, and then probably you're supposed to be a music producer or a music manager or even just a music promoter. But because you love music, you immediately think, okay, I should sing. So with me, I've always loved art. I've always loved creating things. I've always loved making ideas happen. So growing up, I was really passionate about music. Album, I didn't do it too. I've got videos on YouTube and stuff like that. I was doing music, and then with the passage of time, how I started doing comedy. Well, I knew that I was funny because, well, you know, humor is a gift that's very easy to tell because you say something and people laugh. So there's no guessing. So you know, I'm the guy who walks into the room, see something that people probably are not seeing, and then you say it and then people laugh. Or you see something that everybody's saying but not in the way that you see it, and then you see that, okay, people are laughing. But I never imagined. One thing I never imagined was me being a comedian. I never imagined that. Or if it's stand-up comedian, actor, no. I always thought this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be so successful in music, but this is how my shows are going to play out. I'm going to come out and then we perform, I perform songs, and then in between, I'll be talking to the people. I'll be encouraging them and inspiring them and telling them, you know what, thank you so much for coming out to my show, but hold on, fight for your dreams, whatever you may be going through, you're going to make it. This is the vision I always had. And then what happened in 2017, you know, there's a thing called, there's a word, serendipity, where something beautiful is discovered by accident. That's what sort of happened with me. There was a song that was trending around that time, A Soldier Love, may his soul rest in peace. So I made a short voice note, like kind of comical, based on the song. Like I sounded like a pastor who is preaching from the song. So and then that thing went viral. And then afterwards my friends were like, you're the one who made this voice note, but some people are actually taking credit for it. Let's do a video. Then we made a video, and then people actually received it, and then I was like, okay, I still have a lot of other ideas. Let me try this out. That's 2017 in April. That's when I did the next video, and the next, and the next. So for someone who has always been preparing and always been waiting for a moment where the world gives you their attention, the moment it comes, you just pounce in it. So the next thing you know, in the space of 4 weeks, I had 5 other videos out, and they were doing really well. So then I discovered, oh, okay, so I can actually sit down, right, come up with the script. Oh, okay, so I can be an entertainer in this way. So I am a comedian. So after about 2-3 months, I actually started calling myself, oh, okay, I'm a comedian. So the discovery is gradual. So to anyone who may be listening and feeling some sort of pressure, you know, like I'm not very sure, or time is running out, I'm not very sure what I'm supposed to do with my life. We are human beings, which means every moment, every second, we are becoming something. And what you see now in me is probably not the totality of who I'm supposed to become. It's a journey. So give yourself that room and that time to discover yourself. Do what you can at the moment, and one chapter will tell you what the next should be like. And that's been the case for me, and that's how I got here.
Yeah. So when you are being Nijo, who is the person you are hoping to speak to or to connect with? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that, because it's just I'm 2000 or my youth is I've also seen a couple of young people who want to write books about being greatness at their 20, but they haven't lived enough to be able to tell a 45-year-old about
greatness. Okay,
you're not Jesus. No, you're not Jesus. Okay.
No, I might argue, but anyway, you can finish.
And even Jesus himself spent some time in the wilderness where he was being prepared for a certain time. So when you are being you at your age, who are you connecting with? Who are you hoping is hearing you? That's my first part of the question.
All right. Well, it's funny. I've never really looked at it like that when I'm making content. But I think I actually do try to connect to everyone, in the sense that sometimes the things that I say, for instance, just a minute before when I was parked outside, I was reading a message from someone who said, "You are young enough to be my grandson, but I always look forward to watching your videos and hearing what you have to say," right? When I make content, I have people like that in mind, but I also have people my age in mind. But a lot of the times, the people I'm thinking of the most are people who have been brought up at whichever age they may be now, but who have been brought up in the circumstances under which I grew, because I feel like nobody can tell me about things being tough. Nobody can tell me about worrying, maybe let's say about your next meal, or about school fees and stuff like that. I know things like that because I've been through such stuff. So I'm primarily making this content. When I make content, the people I have in mind are people who can relate to the struggles that I've been through, and who also have the same aspirations that I have. So I'm not really, I may need to correct that, I'm not really seeking to entertain or inspire everyone, because maybe not everyone has the ambitions that I have. There are some people who are content being who they are and doing what they're doing. Change the world for who, for what? They don't care about that. They're living their pretty lives and it's fine. But I'm making content for those people who feel like they have a meaningful contribution to make to mankind in this generation and in this society. But they are facing the challenges and the circumstances that I can also relate to, things that I've walked through and things that I still even face up to this point.
Yeah. So comedy is one of those interesting gifts where you can make people laugh. You can also unpack sensitive issues, taboo issues.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a moment, or can you remember the one time you put out content and then it then came back maybe to bite you, in that perhaps you stepped on people's toes? Has that ever happened? Has it happened yet?
No. Well, maybe not directly. To bite me, no. Because sometimes before I put out content, I put a lot of thoughts to it. And I also know that sometimes you don't, especially with the advent of social media and the internet, you don't have an opportunity to correct the narrative if you send out the wrong message. Or you can send out the right message, but that's interpreted the wrong way. So as a result, I'm very careful with what I put out. And there are some things, very useful, very meaningful, very helpful things that I would like to tackle. And then I think about, well, but someone who doesn't have the understanding that I have about this subject will think I'm trying to say this, so I won't. But actually, that reminds me, well, it didn't really bite me per se, but I tried out a series. And I didn't stop because of what people were saying, but due to logistical things. My idea was to tell stories from the Bible and to imagine them happening in this modern era and modern time. So I would be doing like interviews. Let's say so we're speaking with David today. How does it feel? You've just conquered Goliath and stuff like that. And David, and essentially, we are keeping the message alive, right? But then there are some people who feel, like they're custodians of the Bible, like so they'll be like, no, Kadaro, this is now blasphemy. They don't even know what blasphemy is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot of, not a lot, but comparing to the feedback that I generally get from my content, I think I got a lot of backlash from that project.
Yeah.
So people were like, no, you should stop the Bible. I'm like, but do you see the intention? Do you see what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to still tell these stories in a way that somebody who may not necessarily be interested in reading the Bible might be interested in listening. And if at the end of the day I'm saying God is great, if I'm saying A, B, C, and D, so yeah, I think with that one, I got a bit of a sting, yeah.
Ndimi vaya vanoti kuna Mwari big data, God baba God, my own, my NN, and then But it's so interesting you said that, because I was just thinking of one prominent pastor. I'm thinking, should I say his name? Should I not say his name? And this guy has got the definition of a mega church according to Zimbabwean standards.
Okay.
Right? Pake pano zara mabazi makombe antoza kuti muse Sunday.
You don't have to
We're
say
going
it.
anywhere. We're not going anywhere else but there. And my research established the reason why he attracts such a good crowd is, and I judged him for the longest time, saying he doesn't even include a scripture in his sermons. I seldom hear him referring to the actual Bible near passage.
Okay.
But you know what was interesting about my research about this guy? Is that he deliberately, apparently, doesn't quote the Bible because he wants the story in itself to be relatable. So he unpacks it in a way that munabva kubudas, ari pafio, ne ari kubva kumacheke, kuseri kuya ari kuzvinzwa, and he's broken it, like you're saying, he breaks it down to grassroots level. Because let's be honest, sometimes when you read the Bible, there's so many things in there that are contextual and cultural that make no sense at all. Israel, Pakistan, Libya, Lebanon. Goodness sake, you wouldn't understand that. But if somebody unpacks it and breaks it down in a way you understand, it hits a different nerve. And that's why he has such a huge following, because they're seeing themselves because of how he's delivering the word. So I understand what you're saying, that the moment you try and make David live in Zimbabwe and what he would be thinking, and I connect with that language, it changes the way you hear the word, I think.
Definitely, because also there's also this thinking that, whenever you think about characters in the Bible and whatever they did, if you say, oh, this man was a just man, he was a holy man, or Joseph, people were like, in this modern day, people make it seem and sound like people who were in the Bible lived in heaven, and yet they were just walking on this earth with temptations common to all men and stuff. So sometimes when you try to still bring those characters into this time, what we're actually saying, guys, Slay Queen, right, order Josie, but still he stuck to his principles, he stuck to his values, because he said, I cannot sin against God and I cannot sin against my master by taking by sleeping with his wife. So yeah, this was really very important for people to see, okay, so this is not as distant as I thought, because that's what a lot of people are now doing. A lot of people are now saying, but then I believe truth remains truth, values remain values. We can play with a lot of other things, but there are things that will never change. So yeah, saka izvozvo zvekuita zvekugona kuti zvinhu zvive relatable, zvive relevant to a person's situation, to a person's context. It's key in communicating any message.
It's 7 minutes before we get to the news at 11. The slick pastor Nijo is in the building, and we're talking to you as a young person about his journey. And there was a very interesting message that I saw coming all the way from Cheetown. Tough flex, but Cheetown Shrikansi. I'm so happy to hear Nijo live on radio. He's such a talent, humble, always, I think he meant to say motivating, but he said motivating us whenever he posts on social media. Preaching the good news, arise and shine forever, Nijo. Shikakure,
so much.
Be like Martin Lawrence and Denzel Washington.
Amazing.
those are such opposite. My
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence.
And Denzel.
Yeah.
I would pick Denzel, but I think he was just referring to the height of
Yeah.
success. Yeah,
hear you.
and thank you so much.
So most comedians struggle to then fully transcend into becoming proper actors, because
Oh, yeah.
being a comedian or theatrical performer is different to being an actor. Because with an actor, we've got to see the emotion. You got to be upset, and we've got to feel
Yeah.
your anger.
Yeah.
You've got to cry, and we've got to feel your
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
For you, have you found actual acting? And I'm not saying what you're doing on the skits is not acting, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
I get
Where
you.
you have an actual script and you have to walk us through the emotions of the character. Has that been a challenge for you yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there are actually some projects that I've said, "Yes, I'm not ready for this one," because I'm used to a lot of improvising and a lot of playing with just my humor and just being witty and getting away with it. And then some characters demand more from you than just being funny or just saying something funny. So yeah, that's actually a challenge I'm willing to take on, to say no, I need to learn now the next step or the next level of how to portray different characters, and like what you're saying, do actual acting more than just telling jokes and being funny. So yeah, so it has been a challenge, and I'm working on that.
Got you. Social media is not for the faint-hearted. I mean, in terms of growing your numbers. I mean, I was not a social media person, and I apparently have to be more active on social media, and it's not easy for me.
Yeah.
And yet you doing it so effortlessly, and I've often found women who are on social media, particularly who are in the public eye, who have to push their brands, often use sex appeal and you know what I'm going on about.
Yeah.
How have you, obviously not being a woman, but as a guy, what's the guidance you would give to young people who are actually watching you, who want to grow their social media presence for one reason or another? They could be selling butter. I met a woman who makes mint peanut butter, strawberry peanut butter.
Okay.
And I'm sure, I know, right?
Wow.
Mint and strawberry. I don't know how to feel about that. But my point is, she would definitely need to bring her innovation on social media, whether we love it or not. But point is, we've seen it. What are some of the tips you would give young people in terms of growing their social media brand? How do they make that happen?
Right. So I think the first important thing is to know your why. Why are you doing it? So because I've always said why informs how. Why you want something that you want informs how you're gonna do it, and tells you how much you're gonna work towards it. So number one is knowing why. Why do I want these numbers? Because sometimes you will find that you don't necessarily need a lot of numbers, but you just need the right numbers. Anyone in marketing will tell you that sometimes it's not really about reaching 1 million people. We just need 2, but the right 2 people. It's only that, well, by having 1 million, we have a high chance of hitting the right spot. But anyway, my biggest encouragement is that be true to yourself and be clear about who you are. And so don't dabble in everything to try, okay, so no, because I want to connect with this crowd over here, I want to, and so you will find that over time, because, well, if you let's say you post and then you're wearing your short skirt and stuff like that, and your thighs are out and stuff like that, and then you get 20,000 followers, and you say, no, it's just a strategy, and then after this I'm going to be telling people about business. But these 20,000 people who liked the page did not like it for business. They liked it for thighs. So we want to see thighs every single day. Show us thighs, because that's what you sold us, right? So don't do that if that's not what you're... It's like, that guy who takes you out on a date when you're still, when he's still trying to court you. He's taking out you on a date, he's sending you flowers, he's calling you every day, and then the moment you say yes, because anga chingoda kutsaya kuwina, handed. Because I cannot sustain how, because be always prepared, because whatever you're willing to do to win someone or win something, you're also prepared to sustain it, to be able to do it, and for the longest.
Gotcha.
So people should know why you want those numbers, and be true to yourself and be clear about your message. And then over time, as you are consistently putting out that same message, standing for who you truly are, if you're doing life coaching, let's do that. If you see a lot of people nowadays, and maybe they're trying to push a song and because we're going to dog them numbers, but maybe we're not enjoy our skits. Yeah, but they're not going to enjoy your music. So, but when you're true to yourself, you are giving yourself enough time and platform to connect with people who want what you have.
Yeah, I was going to talk about your music and what you're doing, but because our time is up, I know if I say anything, we're going to miss the news, and then it's gone for me. But I think your music, for a lot of people, I know the song that you did with Comic Pasta, a lot of people are like, but it's actually a great song. And I think after a while, we're just like, actually, this song shows much talent. But initially, because in Zimbabwe, so kanata jera sadza nemurone doni say cheese msadza rangu please ngari ngorambari sadza ndo nyaya yekuti dovikarani strawberry. But we gotta go to the news for like and the Slick Pasta. Thank you so much for coming.
It's been an absolute
on
pleasure.
The Young People's platform. It is 11 o'clock. We've got to go to the news. It's Capital 100.4 FM. Harare is happy. Time with mine. 11 o'clock time for the news.
This is Zim Paper's radio broadcasting news.
Good morning, I'm Milton Nyamanga. President Emerson Mnangagwa will today tour and commission